All right, all right. We are back today for another episode, another incredible guest expert. I'm so excited to bring Ashley Turner to all of you here on Drop Into the Vortex. If you have not heard of Ashley Turner, you need to know this woman. She is actually a dear, dear friend of mine. We met a few years ago through mutual friends, and we're just vibing high off of each other and have nurtured a friendship over the years. She is a well-known, widely acclaimed yoga and meditation expert. She's been doing this work for over 20 years. She's also a licensed psychotherapist. She is a writer, a facilitator, as well as a very, very successful entrepreneur. She is a brand new mama. And when I was living in Venice, in Los Angeles, we lived very closely together and got to enjoy several walks before we moved. So today we riffed with each other. We were kind of zigging and zagging, and we went into a conversation of what it really means to be a feminine powerhouse today, a feminine in the work world, in conscious entrepreneurship, in what it looks and means like to actually rest, to actually co-create and manifest from a state of rest and attuning to what you need. So she weaves in a lot of really beautiful core teachings of the yogic tradition in this episode, which are new to me, right? Like I'm not, that is her world. It's not my world. So I learned a lot. I think you will learn a lot. It's really a beautiful conversation, and I hope that you enjoy. If you enjoy it, you resonate it, you get something from it, I would be so appreciative if you would take a snapshot, share it on your social media, and make sure to tag Ashley Turner as well as myself at Heidi Stevens. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go. Hi friends, it's Heidi Stevens here. Welcome to Drop Into the Vortex, where conversations about up-leveling your frequency, reaching your next level, feeling alive, and manifesting with more ease are happening. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a serial entrepreneur, I am a spiritual teacher and leader, and I am here juggling all the hats right along with you, creating our next level life and showing you how to do it on the way. Welcome, let's go. What you're talking about right now is, I think, what all of our souls deeply, deeply desire is this real permission to rest and to recuperate. Like, what does it even mean? What does it even look like to give ourselves permission to actually rest? Like, start unpacking that. Let's just riff here.
I think, first of all, I'm so grateful for this conversation. And it's because I'm really finding myself at this crossroads of noticing my tendencies and my addiction. Honestly, I think it's an addiction for many of us. I will just speak for myself and it's a conditioning. I think it's important to connect the dots and tie this to our culture, which honestly in the West, and especially in the United States, is definitely built on this white supremacy culture. And I've been doing my own research I found this incredible article, and I'll send you the link. So if you want to put it in the show notes, you can do that, of 15 pillars, essentially. One piece of the article is 15 pillars of white supremacy culture, which is this culture that we have been brought up in, valuing, looking at our values and priorities of urgency, perfectionism, individualism, more is better, faster is best. And it does not set us up for real, true soul success. It sets us up for maybe this externally validated version of success. But I think what many of us are trying to manage and negotiate internally is, what is my soul definition of success? And what has been my motivation? My motivation has been very ego driven, of like, I want to create this. I want to check the box. I want to build a 6-figure and now build a 7-figure business. Okay, I did it. And how do I really feel? Well, I feel tired. I want to spend a little bit more time with my family. I want to actually just spend more time in nature and have more space in my calendar. And so I've been really asking myself, what does it look like to be an embodied feminine leader, an entrepreneur, which means we do incorporate rest. If you think of the feminine, if you think of, you can look at the wheel of the year and look at the seasons, yeah, there's a summertime, but there's a winter where things are fallow and everything is in retreat. Also, I don't think it helps that, you and I both live in Southern California, so we don't even have a real winter to remind us to slow down and settle down and get really quiet. So I think it's important that every person is constantly in that reflection of what is in alignment with my soul's desires, with my soul's needs. And it is really a discipline because our culture is set up in this constantly striving modality. So it really takes a lot of self-discipline to unhook from that. And for me, and I think many people, it's a continual journey of unhooking and unplugging from that mindset and giving ourselves permission. And there's not a lot of sources outside that are going to give you that permission to slow down and rest.
Yeah.
And so I've had many friends colleagues that I've been talking about, and there is a theme in the wellness world right now, the nap ministry, rest and rejuvenate. I'm in the yoga world. So the yoga nidra movement, which is conscious sleep, conscious rest, sleep hygiene, all of that. Luckily, so it is happening to some degree, but I find that it's a really big discipline for myself to set up systems in my life to support my holistic health, my rest and rejuvenation, as much as supporting my striving and productivity. Our productivity doesn't equal our value, if you will.
So this is so potent, Ashley. I've been unpacking this for myself personally. And really the question that I have been deeply desiring, I know the answer. The question that comes up, which I teach everyone to not ask this question, but the question comes up is how? Like, how does this work? Because the desire and the inner knowing that I have on such a deep, deep, deep core level is I truly believe that we can have both. Rest and feminine entrepreneurship and the napping and the true, like, taking care of self is not void of outward abundance and manifestations on a physical world reality. And so I think I'll speak for myself, but I feel like you may be able to resonate with this. It's like, there is part of us that knows that. There is part of us that has, on some levels, right, in these different nuances, experienced that. We do know what abundance feels like. We do know how to take care of ourselves. We do know how to practice mindfulness. We do know how to run multiple 7-figure businesses and lives. Do we need to bop back and forth into one identity or another, right, in order to experience both? Where is this beautiful divine dance where we literally can launch in a state of rest, where we can co-create $100,000 months or weeks or whatever that dream of abundance is, in such a state of flow and grace? Like, that is where I'm going. Like, that is where spirit wants all of us. I believe that in every part of my being. And I welcome whatever kind of opens up for you and me sharing that.
Well, I have to say, Heidi, I really think that, you're channeling a serious message right now. I'm like, preach, sister, preach, that. And I, we're dear friends, but I also so respect you as a colleague. And I think that you, and there's a few other, feminine entrepreneur leaders that, you're really calling people to re-identify to that. And of course, me coming from the yoga world, the word yoga means to yoke.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other. The answer is not. That's an old model. That binary model of either or is an old, outdated model. It doesn't work. It's not actually nature. Nature, everything is the marriage of the feminine and the masculine, the sun and the moon, the winter and the summer, the spring and the fall. This is the macrocosm. These are the universal laws of nature. This is not a concept. This is the universal law of nature, of sperm and an egg. And so we can't actually exist without the other. They're not even two. They're one. They're two sides of the same coin, right? So you're making such a good point, and I think it's just a reminder for people that let's up level this conversation.
Yeah.
That it's not either or. And I think you almost just caught me going into like, oh, I need to, retreat into the feminine, but actually no, it's let's up level to integrate and hold both at the same time. Now, of course, there may be an ebb and flow, but yes, let's build from the feminine in the feminine and the masculine. And it's that dance. So I really appreciate that, that refinement of the conversation, because I think that is where we're going. And I think that's where, particularly as I would say, as female leaders, it's for us to embody that, and then for us to model that, and for us to then set a new standard.
And it's so juicy.
It
is so juicy because it's so good. And it's a reminder that we can all allow life to get that good.
Yes.
And
yes.
The way that we kind of weaved into this conversation, which wasn't recorded, and now we are recording, is that the question that you've been asking as someone that is so incredible at the shadow work and the trauma work is, at what level do we need to go into that? And so let's unpack that a little bit, because there's the spiritual bypass conversation, there's the not looking, there's the I'm just going to turn my look love and light, and as two blonde, right, 40 something very abundant women. It's let's unpack what that means to really honor the past, honor the history, honor the trauma, and yet move the emotional frequency higher to not live in that. Go.
Well, I think that, thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. I'm like, my whole body's just like shining right now. I'm so happy about this conversation. I think it's important to recognize that there are, and when I think, I'm always in this conversation of the feminine masculine. It's the nature of my work as both a yoga teacher, but also Jungian psychotherapist. And Jung famously was all about, the shadow work is integrating the shadow and the light. So it's always this dance, and it's mercurial, and it's constantly changing, and it's allowing for that ebb and flow. But I do think there are important systems that are helpful for us to put into place. And that's going to be different for everyone, right? But we want to set ourselves up for success. So for example, for me, I'm here with one of my best friends at her house, and which is why there's bunk beds in the background. But we were talking last night, and we were saying, you know what, we really need some accountability. And we were pretty much having this exact conversation about how we want to be creating from this place of ease, from a place of flow, from a place of abundance, of restfulness, meaning that I have a lot of energy, I'm overflowing. And we both were saying that we need to double down on our morning routines, on, yoga terminology, it's your sadhana, whatever your spiritual practice is, and it's very helpful to do it in the morning, because then it sets the whole tone and the trajectory and your own energetic field for the day. So I know for myself, the systems of what's going to help me get there is to actually start by going inward, is to start by stopping. I used to lead a priestess mystery school, which is all rooted in the divine feminine and very deep science and technology of the divine feminine from many different angles. But there's a beautiful teaching that I think it was Gina McGarry. I'm not exactly sure. It was one of my colleagues' teachers, an herbalist though. And the teaching of the wise woman is the first step in healing, the first step in anything is to do nothing. And that is actually such a potent teaching to start by stopping.
Say it
So
again.
for me,
Say it again for the people in the back. Say it again.
I know, exactly. So the first step in healing is to do nothing. Start by stopping. Start by stopping. The universe creates from the emptiness, from the fecund void, the dark matter of which everything arises, from the womb, from the first thing that, and so I'm wanting you to connect the microcosm to the macrocosm. What we're talking about in terms of detailed systems in your daily routine is in alignment with the macro level universal laws of nature. So here's how it looks. In your womb, when life is created, when the sperm and egg come together, the first spark of life, when you have that zygote, the first thing that happens, it finds the uterine wall, and the first thing it does is go deeper in. It extends into the uterine wall first to attach. Same with a seed underground. The first thing it does, that little sprout of a root goes down and deeper into the dark first. Then once it's established in the dark, in the unknown, in the unseen, then it begins to arise and move outward. So the first step is to go inward, is to pause, is to go into the dark, into the unseen, into the inner world.
Yes.
And from that place, life arises.
Yes.
So that for me in practical, let's land it for everyone practically, looks like I need to start my day in meditation. I need to start by stopping. Otherwise, my ego mind is driving the bus. I'm jumping to my to-do list and I get out of hand really fast. And I start creating from this place of franticness, time, chronological time based, what my team's telling me I need to do, instead of like, whoa, let me align, let me come into my own center, let me talk to spirit, let me open myself as a vessel for spirit and see what wants to come through. What usually happens is everything settles. I'm in a much calmer space. I'm able to see much quickly and more clearly my priorities and discern what's important, what's not important, including my thoughts, and not create from a place of static electricity, but create and align from a place of simplicity, of ease, of abundance. So the start by stopping is my first tip.
Thank you for taking it back and really breaking it down to that level. It's so, I always say the universe operates in a vacuum. And so we have to clear out, and in order to create the space of the unknown, and then intentionally bring forward what is coming in, because left to our own devices, left to, it's like in that stopping, if it's not intentional, if the pause is not intentional, you will automatically then replay the patterns and the stories and the minds and the programming of the past, of the past, of the past, of the past. And so, I think the collective consciousness is exhausting. You and I are exhausted. Right? Little kids, little babies, right? I can feel the parts of my body that are just like, I just want a break. And then there's the higher parts that are coming through on this podcast that is so full of the vision and the life and like channels, right? And like knows that it's all possible. And so for the woman that's listening, that is like, yes, all of this sounds great. You guys have got support and this and that and da-da-da-da-da. And you've got your businesses and you may have the luxury to just start your morning in a certain way. Well, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, and I'm in anxiety and I'm in overwhelm. I feel like we are in a perpetual state, collective consciousness, of not knowing where we're going, not know where the unknown's taking us, not knowing where this pandemic is going to go. It's not stopping. The chaos is getting more. The collective consciousness is heating up. I'm feeling called to just like, let's talk about the breath, like your yoga, right? The breath. We have access. You may not have access to your morning every single day. You may get thrown off. You may not start let's talk about coming into the breath and shifting at any given moment.
Well, what you're really talking about is the nervous system, and whether we are in a state of sympathetic nervous system or parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system, the way I remember it, is sympathizing with the outer world. It's responding and reacting to outer stimuli. So when our body mind kicks into the sympathetic, it's fight, flight, freeze, collapse. All of the stress hormones are released: adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine. And then we have inflammation in the body, and the breath gets very shallow because we're preparing to either fight or flee. And this happens. And by the way, we want to consider that we all have a different default mode. And so it is important to look at and understand your own body, mind, and understand your constitution, which also has to do with your personal history, because especially if you grew up, if the imprints from your childhood were in a stressful environment, your nervous system is wired into hypervigilance. So it's going to tend to interpret things in a more stressful manner, and you're going to potentially tend towards that fight, flight, or freeze response. The other half of it is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And another term for this is tend and befriend. When our nervous system is slowed down, we have space. Now we can digest our food because, by the way, when you're in fight or flight, all of the energy goes to your limbs. It's out to the periphery, so you can fight or flee. So the digestion shuts down, sexual activity shuts down, which is why if you're in a constant state of inflammation or stress response, you can end up having digestive problems, hypertension, diabetes. All of those things can become chronic
in the body.
In the body.
Yes.
Yeah. And or in the rest and digest response, all of the feel-good hormones start to kick in. Serotonin, oxytocin. Oh, I can relax. I can rest. I'm at ease. I'm safe. I'm okay. The quickest way, and there's several tools to shift your body mind. I say body mind because they're not separate. They're one entity. In any moment is number one is the breath, which if you just take 3 deep belly breaths, getting that breath all the way down to your belly, using your diaphragmatic breathing, you immediately shift your body into that rest and digest response. So you're telling the body, hey, it's okay. We can deep breathe. We can slow down. We don't have to pant. We don't have to run away. So I call it working from the outside in. You can choose to put your physiology in a state of rest and digest, which then has the message is sent to the brain of like, okay, we're okay. Let's relax. Let's create a little more space between our thoughts. So breath work is one of the greatest tools to shift your nervous system. But what I want to really connect the dots of, it's not just a physiological response, it's also a psychological response. So when you're in the fight or flight mode, the stress hormones are released. They have a very distinct impact on the actual thoughts that you're thinking, such as fear, such as insecurity, such as scarcity mentality. There's not enough. I have to hurry. I have to do more. When you're in a relaxed state, and you have oxytocin, serotonin being flooding the system, your body is sending the message to your brain that like, I'm okay, let's connect. Your sexual organs come online, your digestion comes online, things are in flow. You actually want to bond with people and feel more connected. There's a different mindset. There's a different psychology that's imprinted from the different physiology. It's important to understand that to some degree. Yeah. So you can work from the outside in. So what does that look like when you notice you're in the world, you're getting triggered, your breath is short, you're hurrying, just take a pause. That's the next piece of homework I would give everyone. First of all, start by stopping, start your day with some sort of emptiness, vacuum, whatever your spiritual practice looks like. Grounding practice looks like. The second tip of homework I would give people is insert a moment of pause in your day whenever you can. A great rule of thumb is anytime you get in the car, pause. And by the way, with your kids, with your partner. Teach them how to do it too. Hey, we're going to get in the car. We're going to put our seatbelts on. Okay, let's take 3 deep breaths before we get on the road. So you're training them. You want them to carry these tools with them too. They're self-regulation tools. Another great tip. Okay, when you get in the car, number 1, number 2, before you pick up your phone. Pick up your phone, fine. Before you get on Instagram, before you open any app, before you make a phone call, which nobody makes phone calls anymore, before you send a text, take 3 breaths before you do anything on your phone and start to make it a rule. And the 3 breaths takes 30 seconds is what it is. So slow down, insert the pause, and then it will become habit over time. And you will just naturally create little micro moments of space to reset your system and get your system back into that parasympathetic. And now your default mode is going to start to shift. That lever is going to start to shift a little bit.
And I'll just add one thing onto that. As you're pausing, it's such a beautiful practice. I'll add on one thing of choose a soothing thought. Proactively choose a soothing thought. I am safe and have everything right here and right now in this moment. Spirit is always working out for me. The universe is always looking out and co-conspiring on my behalf. Whatever, just pick one. And it's like they talk about affirmations. It's not just so that you walk around and look at it every single day. It's so that in those moments, we cannot receive new information. We cannot receive higher frequency information when we are in the sympathetic. So moving your system into the parasympathetic and into that state of rest, you then can start actually reworking and rewiring those belief systems and letting them sink in instead of just rattling them off, right? I don't know if you have people say this to you, but I'll always well, I've been doing the things. I've been doing all the things. I'm doing the morning routine. I'm doing the affirmations. I'm writing down my desires. I'm meditating, and it's still not happening. It's still not happening. And it's like, none of that matters. It's the state of which you are being that matters. It's the state of your every moment, your every, how you're driving the car, how you're waking up, right? Yes, the satna is gorgeous. And it's and if it's not coming from a place of devotion, of intention, of connection, of heartfelt desire, it's all just words and actions and movement.
Yeah. I would love to layer onto that because I just taught this practice on an IG Live 2 days ago, that there's a yoga sutra. Yoga sutras are one of the core philosophical texts of yoga. And it's really a great compendium of psychology. It's really a whole, science of how to master this body mind. So the beautiful Yoga Sutra of Pati Paksha Bhavana. The word bhav means feeling tone or state. So to add on to what you're saying is, yes, an affirmation, yes, a thought, but actually, which you're getting at the end, practice feeling the feeling in your bones. Yeah. So from the perspective of yoga, bhav, there's many, different kinds of bhavanas, which means what's the feeling tone? So is it a warrior feeling? Is it contentment? Is it fear? Is it love? What's the feeling tone or state? If you think of a piano or a guitar, what's the note that you're playing on that piano keyboard? Are you playing the note of fear? Are you playing the note of anger, resentment? Are you playing the note of contentment? So I gave the example in my meditation that notice, because the thing is, we have different feelings that we're actually addicted to. Your emotional home, your default button. So one of the things I was stating in my meditation was I notice I get caught in comparison mind a lot of the time. And when I'm in comparison mind, I start judging myself and I feel not enough, or I feel like I should be doing more, or I should have more. I should have already started my podcast, whatever it is. So what's the opposite of that? The sutra, the yoga sutra is pratipaksha bhavana. When you notice the negative thought, cultivate the opposite feeling, cultivate the opposite bhavana. So for me, instead of comparison and judgment, what's the opposite? Would be feeling totally content. Like I'm absolutely perfect. I have everything that I need. I'm doing everything that I need to be doing, and to feel really an overflow for me. So then take it into the body. What does that feel like in my body? And I actually, it's a muscle that I'm building to practice feeling content, to practice feeling like I have abundance, overflow. You know, I'm perfectly exactly where I'm supposed to be. What is the expression like on your face? What is the posture of contentment? How does contentment, someone who's totally content, if you think of someone that's totally content, if we take this as an example, how do they walk around the world?
Yeah.
What are they looking like? Yeah. What's the hand gesture they're using? And so I would spend 5 minutes. You can do a quick meditation, could be 1 minute, could be 30 seconds of, let me flex the muscle of fill in the blank. For me, contentment. Maybe it's abundance. Let me flex that muscle so I actually practice feeling that. And it becomes, I'm literally wiring my nervous system into that, and it will become the new habit.
I thank you so much for that, and also sharing an example. And I feel called to share one example that I think maybe women will relate to listening to this. It's something that I've been really, really practicing and choosing into recently. And that is, so the practice is choosing into the joy of my life, like choosing into the joy and the abundance of my life now, like not what's happening in the future, like today. And what I have noticed, and where I get to shine my light on, and I welcome any feedback from you or just what you see, I notice myself going into the need or the belief to be the same, to be like, to, Gay Hendricks calls it the crime of outshining. It's like, who am I to have this much joy when there is so much chaos and craziness and suffering in the world? And part of me buys into, well, maybe I should suffer a bit. Maybe I should feel bad. Maybe I should just kind of make some drama, or just create some dissonance in my life, because belonging is such a core need for, it's like one of the corest needs for all of us. So unconsciously, I have this need to belong. And so then I do things to lower my frequency to be like the collective. And then I am robbing myself of the life that is available in the now.
Yeah. So well said. So well said. And belonging is a physiological survival need. If you do not belong to whoever your tribe is when you're born on this planet, you will die. If you're not accepted by the tribe because somebody needs to take care of you for the first however many years of life, 10 years of life or whatever, you need food, you need shelter, you need water, you need clothes. And if somebody else is not taking care of you, you will die. And so belonging is actually hardwired as our number one survival mechanism.
Yeah. And I feel even saying that out loud, right? It's something I've been playing with, working with, choosing into, and then just speaking it with you as this is being recorded. It's like the truth sets us free, friends. Yeah. Like the truth will set you free. Like those parts of ourselves that are the shadow, that are in denial or don't really want to fess up. And it's like just speaking it and going, actually, in this moment with you, my love, in this moment, like, as I leave my office and go look at the ocean, in this moment of being with my child today, I can choose to be in the monotony and the day to day, and the things that we need to get done, or I can choose to be in the abundance and the joy of this moment. And thank God we are embodied is in human form right now, so that we can fully express and like feel and taste and connect in this way. Oh, it's just so good. Life can be good. This vibration is high, my friend. This is good.
It is so high. And I think it's reminding me that, this to riff on the theme of belonging is to choose so wisely who you are spending your time with and who you are identifying with, because you can now, yes, we have family, or, one of my teachers, Ram Dass, calls it given karma. Like, you can't give back your parents, your siblings, your kids, etc. That's your given karma. You're going to be working with those relationships the rest of your life. But there's a lot of people, the majority of people in your life, that are your chosen karma. Yeah. So who do you choose to surround yourself with? So what are the, say, 2 or 3 frequencies that you're clear you want to lay down in your life? You want to up level to, for me, contentment, joy, abundance. So I'm going to look at who are the people that are embodying that right now, who in my sphere or friends or peripheral friends, and do I want to surround myself that are already modeling that, they're already embodying that, and cultivate those friendships. Be very intentional about who you're hiring on your team, who you're choosing to do business with as your clients and students, who you're choosing as your colleagues, your vendors, of course, your friends,
your mentor, your coach, your leaders. Like, who are you connecting with and going, I want to reach to that branch, right? Yes. Like, yes.
And one thing, and I will say, this is kind of an aside, but I've gotten really clear in the last year as we've grown as a team and as a business. I had some really harsh reflections, and I got really clear that I needed to have stronger boundaries around everyone, my team, and the clients that we have and the students that we're attracting. And I don't have to do business with everyone. I don't want to do business with everyone. If you're bringing negativity and you're just here to, we don't want that in our ecosphere. I want joy. I want value. I want people that are contributing to uplift the frequency of this community. And I realized as an entrepreneur, I can also choose that. It's not an elitist or exclusive thing. It's just, this is what this product or company or program is about. And this is what we're creating. And I've been so clear with my friendships, and, keep friends, but I'm not going to probably spend a lot of time with people if there's too much drama, if there's too much, gossiping or negativity. There's a lot of people out there like Heidi, yourself. I was very intentional about cultivating a friendship with you because I really see what you're embodying and the walk that you are walking. And it's like, that's exactly the frequency I want to be weaving into my life. And so
receive that.
Please, everyone, really take an inventory and audit your friendships, your relationships, your professional relationships, and let it be a filter for who you're choosing to hire and do business with. And of course, surround yourself with.
Let's finish on that. Let's just tell everyone how you actually navigate and work and serve in the world, because it's beautiful ways. And it's like we have similar things, but what you do is very niched and beautiful, and you're really uplifting your community in such a gorgeous way. So tell us about that.
Well, I'm a longtime yoga teacher. I've been teaching yoga meditation for it started in 2000. So almost 22 years. And I'm a licensed psychotherapist. And so in clinical practice for over a decade. And so my work is really weaving these two worlds of body, mind, spirit, but from evidence-based science, neuroscience, psychology, and weaving in very practical technologies of yoga, meditation, breath work, spiritual practices. And primarily I run online programs. I have a professional training, a teacher training program for yoga teachers, 300-hour yoga teacher training, which we have a lot of people that are breathwork teachers, are educators. They're not all yoga teachers, but it is a 300-hour training, weaving shadow work, neuroscience, and getting a lot into the nervous system, trauma resolution, but all through the lens of yoga psychology. And then I do coaching and have private practice on the side as well, but primarily it's the professional trainings.
Amazing. And the current 300-hour teacher training can be done virtually, correct?
Yeah. It's, of course, now with COVID, everything is
good.
Virtual. And so we launch it twice a year. You can go to yoga-psychology.co, yoga-psychology.co. All the information is there, ashleyturner.co as well. And I'm going to be launching very soon. I'm going to get back to the roots, and I'm going to start launching, I think, twice a week yoga classes, or maybe one yoga, one meditation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I really want to start offering online, there's this great platform, Union Fit. So I'm going to be on there. I just want to, be, I'm a teacher, so I'm here to be teaching, and I want to offer something that's much more accessible. That's actually practical tools every week, every day. You can come on whenever you want and get the replays. It's, membership, monthly membership type thing. So I'm going to be launching that soon in the next couple of months.
Ashley, you are such a light. You are such a gift. I so value our relationship and friendship, and just adore being able to get into these conversations and dance with you and to just go there. And thank you for coming on. I'm going to end with this question. What does dropping into the vortex mean to you?
Oh, what a great question. What a juicy question. I really feel that void, that fecund void for me when you say dropping into the vortex, because I do think of, quantum physics and what everything arises from, back to what we were saying in the beginning of our talk, from the emptiness. And, my first spiritual text Eastern spiritual text, aside from the Bible, that I ever really dropped into was the Tao Te Ching. And in the Tao, and it blew my mind. And in Taoism, it's all about doing nothing. True perfect. One of my favorite quotes from Tao Te Ching is, true perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty. True straightness seems crooked. So if you really think about that, true fullness seems empty. True straightness seems crooked. We might think our path is crooked. We might think we're doing nothing, and yet everything arises from that. So I love the teachings of the Tao Te Ching in the vortex. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Thank you so much. Namaste, my friend.
Thank you all so much. Such a pleasure to be here with you, Heidi, and all of the great work that you're doing. You're just such a powerhouse, such an inspiration.
Love you.
Yeah, love you too.